When my phone buzzed at 6 in the morning, I already knew something had gone completely wrong. The Chicago skyline was still pitch black outside my condo window, but my screen showed a call from Standard Executive Management. It was Julian, the broad executive who landed his high-paying role purely because his father owned the entire firm. He did not say good morning or ask how I was doing. He simply cleared his throat and told me that my services were no longer needed. He claimed I was far too difficult to manage and that the company needed to pivot toward a much leaner structure. I sat on the edge of my unmade bed, listening to him chew his breakfast while casually throwing away my decade of loyalty. Julian called me legacy infrastructure, pretending that my experience was an obstacle rather than the only thing holding our firm together. I did not scream, throw a fit, or beg for my job. When you spend 10 years managing high-stakes corporate relationships, you learn to keep your voice calm while everyone else loses their mind. I gave him a simple, neutral answer, which clearly threw him off because he expected me to break down in tears. After he hung up the phone, I walked straight into my home workspace without wasting a single second. My corporate credentials had not been revoked yet because the technical support team would not be online for another 2 hours. That gave me a crucial window of time to protect my own interests without doing anything illegal. I logged into our client management platform, but I did not delete a single file. Instead, I used my memory to review the critical personal details of every major investor. I knew their personal habits, their family situations, and the specific ways they like to conduct business. Before logging out for the last time, I made one small adjustment to the internal scheduling system for the upcoming quarterly board meeting. I did not cancel the event, but I carefully uninvited the major stakeholders while leaving Julian on the schedule. To the computer system, it would appear as a minor network error, but to Julian, it meant walking into a completely empty room. By 7 in the morning, I logged off and poured myself a fresh cup of coffee. Julian assumed my value was stored inside a database, failing to realize that those key relationships belonged to me personally. I stepped outside into the freezing morning air to walk my dog and think about my next tactical move. I did not need to submit resumes or call employment agencies because my track record spoke for itself. Instead, I dialed the personal cell phone of Victor Vance, the senior director at our primary competitor. Victor had spent years trying to hire me away from my old firm, but I had always turned him down out of misdirected loyalty. When he answered on the very first ring, I got straight to the point and let him know I was officially available. Victor laughed out loud when I explained how Julian had let me go in the name of corporate efficiency. He immediately recognized the massive mistake my former employer had just made and offered me a senior role on the spot. He promised me a significant pay raise, full authority over major accounts, and a fresh start at a company that actually valued experience. The entire conversation took less than 10 minutes, meaning I secured a superior contract before most people had even poured their morning coffee. My former bosses thought they were stripping away my livelihood, but they had actually set me free. By 9 in the morning, my official corporate devices went completely dark as the remote system reset them. I opened my personal computer, updated my social profiles, and posted a brief, professional statement about my transition to a rival company. I did not throw mud or make accusations, but I made it clear that my top clients could easily reach me at my new office. Within minutes, the post went viral across our industry network, causing immediate panic inside my old firm. Major account holders began sending me private messages, asking why I had left and where they should send their business. My former junior associate called me in a panic, describing the absolute chaos currently unfolding inside the main office. She explained that Julian was running around screaming at the IT department because clients were calling him directly to complain. He could not answer their specific questions or manage their accounts because he had no idea how those relationships actually functioned. I told my former colleague to stay calm, update her resume, and send it to my new email address so I could help her escape the wreckage. It was satisfying to realize that without my daily intervention, their entire operation was crumbling. By mid-morning, I joined my first video conference with Victor and his executive leadership team. They welcomed me with open arms and immediately handed me the management of several major accounts that were already looking to switch providers. While we discussed our launch strategy, my personal phone rang repeatedly with incoming calls from my former boss, Julian's father. He left urgent voice messages begging me to call him back to clear up what he called a massive misunderstanding. I chose to ignore every single message because some lessons can only be taught through real consequence. Within 24 hours, several of the largest investors officially canceled their contracts with my old firm and moved their portfolios to my new team. Julian was stripped of his leadership authority after failing to manage the fallout, proving to the entire board that he was completely unfit for the job. Standing in my new corner office, looking out at the city skyline, I felt a deep sense of relief and accomplishment. I had built my career on genuine value and hard work, and no entitled manager could ever take that away from me. Leaving that toxic environment was the greatest step forward I ever made.